the right time. I'm not competitive yet. Sort of went at all.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Board of Commissioners meeting for Thursday, February 21st. We'll begin our meeting as is customary with a moment of silence. Thank you. Now please rise for the flag. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
In the absence of David Weisnick, we'll have Martin Brondick, a resident of the county, to talk to us this morning.
You gotta excuse me a little bit, I got a bit of a cold here, so. The reason I'm here, you see my topic is the employee safety. I'm interested in the safety and well-being of one group of people. I believe you call them hall monitors, security monitors. They are the people that check the citizenry in through the x-ray machines, okay? Now, out of that group of people, I'm concerned about one person, my wife, because she is one of them. She's been here 7 years. And the reason, and I've never meddled in her business here, we made a deal, I don't meddle in hers, we just don't. But now I've got to do it, because I'm very concerned. Because as you know, over the weekend, we lost one of the hall monitors. She died, the direct result of cancer. And I did a timeline. She was here 10 years. And by the way, my wife's here 7. That woman was here 7 years, no problem. You install the x-ray machines. I believe in June of 17. By the following spring of 18, she had cancer. She lasted less than a year. That set off the alarm bells in my head, because my wife works around those machines, right? And my question is, why doesn't my wife wear a radiation, oh wait, I have my notes here.
Dosimeter.
Huh?
Dosimeter.
A dosimeter it's called, I knew that. On your persons, they have them at airports, all government buildings, and on and on. She doesn't wear one. And what they do, they monitor radiation levels. Right now you have nothing to monitor radiation levels down there, and they're right up against their machines. And my question is today, why isn't she equipped with one of those dosimeters or something that detects radiation leaks? That's my question.
We'll be happy to look into it.
And also, I don't, respectfully, I don't think that's the kind of cancer she had. So I don't want to get into that, that's a personnel, and we're not allowed to discuss it, but you have a valid question, and I agree, we'll look into that, but I don't think that was her situation.
Granted, that's not the kind of cancer she had, but who's to say that the radiation, if it emitted it, didn't maybe trigger it? You say, you know nothing about cancer, nor do I. I'm not saying those machines caused it, you know, but you can't deny it might have caused it, right? But he said we'll look into it, correct? Okay, I would appreciate that. I'm trying to get my wife out of this building, period. So I appreciate you looking into it. And what is the timeline on that you think it'll take to get back to me on that?
As soon as the answer can be gotten.
Okay.
Yeah.
And these dosimeters, if you look, they're all over the place in price, from $59.99 up to $300. An average one is $150, and you have to have a charger. With your hall monitors, security monitors, you only need 3 of them, you know, per shift. But my suggestion, Sheriff, get rid of them. Put your deputies up there. They're armed and they have some training. These people have none. Half of them are senile. Thank you for your time.
All right, we'll resume our meeting with approval of the minutes.
Actually, we're behind on the minutes. Just apologize for that. We had a right to know deadlines that we had to get to and don't have this for the last
Okay,
meeting.
well then we'll defer. They were on the agenda, so I thought there might be something there. All right.
We're hopeful for this.
Okay. And we will skip over everything else to get to Sally Newman.
Well, I don't know. If this is a good day for that either, but paid our bills, so that's good. Okay, we had receipts on February 19th and 20th of $1,834,802.94. That brought us to a cash total of $2,081,946.88. Our expenditures this week were $1,760,395.51. The undistributed tax claim is $33,993, so that leaves us $287,558.37.
Seek a motion.
Move to
Motion to approve the treasurer's report as presented.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded. Any comment, question, additions? If not, all in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay, I do have one other thing here. I have a resolution here that I need to have signed by Joe Ellen, Tommy, and Jamie. It's for an escrow account that was set up in the planning department. They do have I sign them for, just, it's within the office here, the money's at the bank. We don't really do anything, it's just set in escrow for the county, so that's why I need
And
this
which department was that?
for planning.
Oh, okay, I thought maybe I misheard you.
So it's likely an escrow account for improvements to subdivision or
Yes,
something,
exactly.
we're holding escrow.
Yes.
right?
It's either that or the park and recreation fees that we put in escrow.
We'll seek a motion to approve the escrow.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any questions? If not, all in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, so ordered.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Treasurer.
I'm sorry, yes.
Tell you what, little communication, all that. I'm sorry. Robert, we can hear you better. All right, we have special recognition today. We're very honored to have you here, Tony, and so we have a proclamation we'd like to read, and Jamie, would you mind?
At all. There was some recognition given yesterday at prison board, but today, proclamation for you, and you have a bigger audience, so. Whereas Anthony J. Houck began his career with the County of Lebanon, employed as a correctional officer for the Lebanon County Correctional Facility on September 4th, 1977. And whereas during his tenure, Tony served the county with devotion and commitment, providing integrity to his profession. And whereas while climbing through the ranks, he also served as corporal and assistant prison counselor, Tony performed his duties and responsibilities in a professional manner, reflecting credit upon himself and Lebanon County government. And whereas on February 28, 2019, Tony will retire as Deputy Warden of Treatment at the Correctional Facility with over 41 years of distinguished service. Now therefore, we, the Commissioners of Lebanon County, on behalf of all our residents and the prison board, unite to express our appreciation to Tony for his many years of dedication, faithfulness, and hard work on a job well done throughout his career. We extend congratulations and best wishes for a future filled with happiness and the very best retirement.
Seek a motion.
Make a motion that we adopt the proclamation honoring Tony Houck.
And I'll second the motion with gratitude for your years of service and the stellar job you've done.
Appreciate it. Okay, we have a motion to second. Any comment? Not all in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign, so ordered. Congratulations, Tony, and I said yesterday, I'm the liaison with the prison, so I've had probably more time to work with you in the last couple of years, and it's a very difficult job that you had, and you did it with professionalism and integrity, and it was always, everything was handled expeditiously, and we really appreciate all your service to the county. It's been a wonderful ride for you.
Thank you, Commissioner, very much.
You betcha. Picture? Maybe not, I don't know. Where's that? Maybe we just have to have this memory.
Where would
would you like me to stand?
You're perfect. We'll work around you. You're the center.
Oh, you're gonna do it? Okay, all right, thank you.
Working on photo for the radio.
Morgan, are you getting in here?
Yes, I like the wood. Yep.
You want me in?
Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah.
No,
Oh, I can look little between two big guys.
Another target. Jimmy Shoulder, and I could give my correctional look.
There you go. No, that's all.
At the front.
Thank
All right,
you.
hey, thank you very much.
Awesome.
Good luck to you.
Thank you, Tony, we really
So much.
appreciate it.
Appreciate it. I promise. Thank you. Got the phone. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Speak for yourself, as I say, right? Yeah, that's
Gentlemen, you're invited to stay for the remainder of the agenda, or you may leave.
We have a jail run.
Good answer.
Thank you.
Thank you, man.
You're welcome.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
See you.
Take care.
Michelle Idris, Director of Human Resources.
Stephanie Noel, Benefits Coordinator.
Take care.
Under Personnel Transactions, under Resignations and Terminations, Teresa Schlebach, Docket Specialist, resignation effective February 22nd. Cody Wheatland, Full-Time Correctional Officer, job abandonment effective February 4th. Maurice Moyer, Full-Time Correctional Officer, resignation effective February 22nd. Jose Manguel, Caseworker 1, job abandonment effective February 12th. And Samantha Shisney Light, Probation Officer 2, resignation effective March 1st.
So moved.
Seconded.
We have a motion to accept the resignations and terminations. Any comment or question? Hearing none, all in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, so moved.
Under FMLA leaves of absence, Stephen Menza from Probation Services, 10 weeks of military leave effective February 11th.
Make a motion to accept the request for military leave.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded that we accept with gratitude the FMLA. Any comment or questions? If not, all in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, so moved.
Under changes to status, transfers, and promotions, I have two motions. The first, to approve the 2019 Civil Service Compensation Plan, which pertains to Children and Youth Services, MHIDEI, Area Agency on Aging, and the Commission on Drug and Alcohol Abuse funding for the 2019-2020 fiscal year.
I so move to approve the civil service compensation plan.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any questions? Hearing none, all in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, so moved.
Motion to approve entering into a collective bargaining agreement between the Court-Appointed Professionals Unit and the County of Lebanon for the term January 1, 2019 through December 31st, 2022, and authorizing the signing of the agreement. Highlights of the collective bargaining agreement are a 4-year term, wage increases at 3.5% per year, increases to the annual health insurance deductibles and co-pays, changes to on-call wages, increased reimbursement for sick leave, and changes to vacation policy and the removal of several articles that were current non-union employee handbook policies, which will now apply.
Make a motion to accept the labor agreement as presented.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any comment or question? Thank you for all your hard work to make that happen. If there are no further discussion items on that, we'll vote. All in favor, please. You have a question?
I just thought, how many are there
How many employees?
are affected?
47? I have to look for you. Do you want an exact number? Okay.
Well, about 50 do.
Yeah.
3% of our. All in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, so moved.
Valerie A. Snyder, promotion from door monitor and building security to chief door monitor and building security at the rate of $11.65 per hour effective February 25th. Susan Douglas, promotion from Accountant 3 at MHIDEI to Fiscal Operation Officer 3 at MHIDEI at the rate of $2,046.30 biweekly effective April 8th.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second to accept those changes. Any comment or question? Hearing none, all in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, so moved.
Children and Youth would like to hire Dan Crick as a caseworker 1 at the rate of $1,179.45 biweekly effective February 25th. Department of Emergency Services would like to hire Elizabeth Ham as a part-time assistant system administrator at the rate of $20.01 per hour effective February 26th. President Judge Towalk would like to hire Serena Cruz as an imaging clerk at the rate of $841.57 biweekly effective February 25th. President Judge Towalk would like to hire Stephanie Weingert as a docket specialist at the rate of $841.57 biweekly effective February 25th. MDJ Verna would like to hire Mary Lena at Dalmu Wolf as a DJ clerk at the rate of $785.46 biweekly effective February 25th. The prison would like to hire Ariana Harrison as a general clerk C at the rate of $745.27 biweekly effective February 25th. President Judge Towalk would like to hire Cynthia Howard as an accounting clerk C at the rate of $841.57 biweekly effective February 25th. President Judge Towalk would like to hire Madison Duncan as a probation officer 1 at the rate of $1,581 biweekly effective March 4th. President Judge Towalk would like to hire Chelsea Young as a probation officer 1 at the rate of $1,581 biweekly effective March 4th. And the Public Defender's Office would like to hire Annie Abreu as a Secretary D/interpreter at the rate of $914.84 biweekly with $57.69 biweekly interpreter pay effective February 25th.
Motion.
I move that we take care of the hirings as presented.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the hirings. Any questions or comments? Not all in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, so moved.
Moving on to Salary Board, motion to approve all the transactions previously read plus the following. Louis Oliveri, longevity payment, full-time correctional officer at the prison, one-time payment of $1,500 effective April 11th. Alexander Getch, longevity payment, full-time correctional officer at the prison, one-time payment of $500 effective March 14th. And Tyler Wolford, longevity payment, full-time correctional officer at the prison, a one-time payment of $500 effective March 14th.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to accept the longevity retention awards. Any comment or question? Not all in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, so moved.
Under conference seminar request, under mandated, Michael Yakum would like to attend the following two. From Area Agency on Aging, a Prize 2019 Annual Conference in State College, May 14th through the 16th. No registration fee. Lodging, mileage, meals, parking, and toll reimbursement, 20 credits, mandated by Pennsylvania Department of Aging, PDA. The second one is a 3-day Medicare training for program coordinators in Mechanicsburg on March 4th, 5th, and 21st. No registration fee. Mileage, meals, parking, and toll reimbursement, 18 credits, mandated by PDA. Sarah Hummel from Children and Youth would like to attend the following 4. Risk assessment in Mechanicsburg on March 6th and 7th. No registration fee, mileage, meals, and toll reimbursement. 12 credits, mandated by Department of Human Services, DHS. Number 2, case planning with families in Mechanicsburg on March 13th and 14th. No registration fee, mileage, meals, and toll reimbursement. 12 credits, mandated by DHS. Number 3, the court process in Mechanicsburg on March 20th. No registration fee, mileage, meals, and tolls reimbursement. 6 credits, mandated by DHS. And number 4, assessing safety in and out of home care in Mechanicsburg on March 26th and 27th. No registration fee, mileage, meals, and toll reimbursement. 12 credits, mandated by DHS. Angelica Parisi from Children and Youth would like to attend Applying Ages and Stages Instruments in Child Welfare Practice in Mechanicsburg on March 4th. No registration fee, mileage, meals, and toll reimbursement. 6 credits, mandated by DHS. Erin Moyer and Elizabeth Getch from Children and Youth would like to attend middle work phase of supervision in Mechanicsburg on March 4th and 5th and 14th and 15th. No registration fees, mileage, meals, and toll reimbursement, 24 credits mandated by DHS. Judy Boyd from Children and Youth would like to attend CAPS new user training in Mechanicsburg on March 6th. No registration fee, mileage, meals, and tolls reimbursement, 6 credits mandated by DHS. Nicole Rula, Karen Torrenega, Pastilla, and Morgan McMahon from Children and Youth would like to attend Working with Juveniles Who Sexually Offend in Mechanicsburg on March 7th and 8th. No registration fee, mileage, meals, and tolls reimbursement, 12 credits mandated by DHS. Thomas Smith from Children and Youth would like to attend Childhood Mental Health Issues in Mechanicsburg on March 21st and 22nd. No registration fee, mileage, meals, and tolls reimbursement, 12 credits mandated by DHS. Danielle Gray, Kim Shaw, Brandy Cool, Brianna Rainier, Kayla Conyers, and Rhonda Shope from MHIDEI would like to attend IU13 Education Conference in Stroudsburg on June 18th. $240 registration fee, mileage reimbursement, 6 credits mandated by Office of Child Development and Early Learning, OCDEL. Chris Lizzie from Planning would like to attend the following 3: PA Public Official and Employee Ethics Art online. $60 registration fee, 2 credits mandated by the PADEP.
I believe, just for clarification, if somebody's really listening, it's an act versus art.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's okay. She's not taking art classes.
I'm sorry. The second is PA Construction Code Academy webinar training online, $375 registration fee, 22.5 credits mandated by PA Labor and Industry. The third is PCCA Eastern Symposia at King of Prussia on March 27th, $65 registration fee, 6 credits mandated by PA L&I. Amanda Boyer and Heather Whitman from Probation would like to attend Effective Communication in Harrisburg on March 7th. $130 registration fee, meals reimbursement, 4 credits mandated by Juvenile Court Judges Commission, JCJC. Matthew Klein and John Ritter from Probation Services would like to attend Understanding Mood Disorders and Why Youth with Trauma and Attachment Disorders Have Anxiety and Depression in Camp Hill on March 30th and 31st. $350 registration fee, meals reimbursement, 9 credits mandated by JCJC. Eric Fowler and Jeremy Loeffler from DES would like to attend TAC Officer Training in Hershey on April 11th. No registration fee, mileage, and meal reimbursement mandated by PSP. Joseph Morales from DES would like to attend Recovery from Disaster in Cumberland on May 18th and 19th. No registration fee, mileage, and meal reimbursement mandated by PEMA. Sally Berry from Probation would like to attend 2049 CJAB conference at Penn State on April 9th and 10th. No registration fee, lodging, and meal reimbursement mandated by PA Board of Probation and Parole. Sally Berry and Andrea Raquel from Probation would like to attend American Probation and Parole Association Conference in Miami, Florida on March 10th, 11th, and 13th. $850 registration fee, lodging, mileage, meals, parking, tolls, and airfare reimbursement, 16 to 20 credits mandated by PA Board of Probation and Parole. Sally Berry and Andrea Rackhow from Probation would also like to attend the PA Chiefs General Membership Executive Board meeting, EVP meeting in State College on March 7th and 8th. No registration fee, lodging, and meal reimbursement, 6 credits mandated by PVPP. Deanna Vasquez and Mark Smith from the Public Defender would like to attend the 2019 Litigation Skills for New Public Defenders in Carlisle on March 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th. No registration fee, mileage, parking, and toll reimbursement, 20 credits mandated by the Supreme Court.
Make a motion that we approved all of the mandated conference as read.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded, but I did I didn't see that word art. Where can
She
I?
verbalized it.
Oh, she said it.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm thinking, I didn't see that. It was
No,
an
she,
error.
it was, I just thought, well, just in case somebody's listening and they think she's going to art classes, it's really an act.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Sorry.
That's
Thank you
okay.
for clarification.
Yeah.
All in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, so moved.
Okay. Under non-mandated requests, Carol Davies from Area on the Agency would like to attend Leadership Development Institute refresher training in Harrisburg on March 19th and 20th. There's a $100 registration fee, mileage, parking, and toll reimbursement.
So moved.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded that we approve that request of Carol Davies. Any comment or question? Hearing none, all in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, so ordered.
Sue Douglas and Dennis Good from MHIDEI would like to attend Fiscal and Data Meeting in Harrisburg on March 21st and 22nd. $115 registration fee and mileage reimbursement.
Move to approve.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the MHIDEI request. Any questions? If not, all in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, so moved.
Gary Verna Jr. from DES would like to attend Incident Safety Officer in Berks County on April 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th. No registration fee, mileage, lodging, meal, and toll reimbursement.
So moved.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded that we approve that request. Any questions? If not, all in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, so moved.
Bob Dow from DES would like to attend Public Safety Facilities Planning in Orlando, Florida, March 7th and 8th. $395 registration fee, lodging, mileage, meal, parking, and toll reimbursement.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve Bob Dowd's request. Any questions or comment? If not, all in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Opposed, same sign, so moved.
And Bruce Snyder from Community Action Partnership would like to attend motivational interviewing in Lebanon on March 1st. $50 registration fee and mileage reimbursement.
So moved.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the CAP request. Any questions or comments? If not, all in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign, so moved.
I'd just like to say thank you. You did a stellar job.
Thank you.
There was a lot there.
This time, yes.
Yes.
We don't have much work to do.
We do have the most highly educated and certified employees in the county.
And the state.
Courtney, did you have a question?
No.
You're still in shock.
Well, I guess I was wondering a little bit about, I know that some commissioners had questioned whether it was necessary to go to places out of state to get training. Was the trip to Miami, is that the only
Orlando.
trip? No, I thought it was Miami.
No.
Is that the only training available, or?
Well, Mr. Dow may be able to answer that. We have a huge investment to be made in a year or two, and so.
Well, I think the one you're referring to is one of the mandated ones.
Yeah, it was one
Oh,
of them.
oh, I'm sorry. I
And
thought it
it's
was-
probation,
Yeah.
that's not Bob.
I'm sorry, I thought you were talking about the Orlando.
No, I was just thinking Miami. I really got
Is that
lulled
the one
out
that was
of
approved by Judge Stillwater?
Mandated.
Yeah, now the mandated portion of that is that they're required to get a minimum number of credits per year by Pennsylvania Board of Probation and Parole. This one's providing, it appears to be 16 to 20 credits toward that requirement at that conference, national conference, so. And again, we came with endorsement from Judge Stillwater, which is always something that's consideration as well.
Does the county pay for that, or is that under court money?
No, it would be county. Yeah, it's a national conference.
Okay, thank you.
So is it the only one, probably not the only place to get those credits, but it's probably the only place that national conference is held annually. This particular year.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Dow.
I have two things this morning.
First is the agreement that we put together between Lebanon and York counties to handle the oversight of the regional fund system. Sorry, board here. It's okay. Basically, the agreement identifies who's responsible for each of the individual pieces in the event that FEMA no longer provides funding for this, how the costs would be distributed between the counties. Anything that is a split piece of equipment would be split 50/50. Anything that is based on allocations, a number of positions gets distributed based on the number of positions.
And this is for equipment.
Yes, this is for the 911 call handling system building. And then the associated services that go with it, so the connectivity between here and York, the 911 trucks.
But it's all more or less hardware versus people.
Yes, 100%. This does
Thank
not,
you. I just needed that verbalized. Thank you.
Is there a motion?
I make a motion to approve the participation agreement for the 911 call handling system.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded. Any questions regarding the motion? Not all in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, so moved.
The next item that I have is a professional services agreement with MCM Consulting. This agreement is to handle the planning phase of a new facility. This would bring us up to the bidding portion. Everything from site evaluation to vendor selection, the entire process. And the amount of $108,000, and the agreement is for 12 months.
I'll make a motion that we approve the contract with MCM.
I'll second the motion and with gratitude that this is moving forward.
Very excited.
Yes.
We have a motion and a second. Any further comment? Not all in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, so moved.
I do have one correction to the training request that I submitted. That was supposed to include airfare as well. I did not put that there because I missed the check box.
Well, in lieu of mileage, I guess that is probably gonna,
That worked.
yeah. One other mention on that, as I think I understand it, someone from MCM is also planning to
Yes.
attend that in Florida as well, company involved,
Yeah.
part of the whole team.
John Hanson from MCO.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There's a question.
Oh, sorry, Gordon.
Is there a timeline, an established timeline for the development of the new 911 center?
We would like to be at the spot where we're ready to put out documents for bid by the end of 2019, beginning of 2020.
Okay, and when would you hope to actually be in and operating?
Early enough that I don't want to say for sure, but realistically, 2021, middle of the year.
Yeah, if that schedule would follow, I mean, if we're signing something at the end of this year, then I would suspect another year till there'd be,
And it's
ribbon cutting or something.
at least 6 months of actual move time to, once the doors are open in the building physically, the installation, equipment, services, and stuff.
Yeah, it's a little more complicated with this particular application because of the transference of technology, not just people and things.
Has a location been chosen, or is that part of this process?
It's part of this process.
Thank you.
We have an old study, but that's not up to date, so,
It's from 2008.
yeah, 2008. So it's 11 years old and needs to be updated.
Our needs have changed considerably since.
Anything else? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, Gordon.
No, listen, I just heard Miami and it's just like, wow.
Well, and I have the opposite, so when I see approved by Judge Tillwalk, then I sort of go, okay, that's it, that becomes,
Anything we got.
Brett, one more last.
Good morning, everyone.
The legions have arrived.
You can pull another chair up, so all four of you can sit up front. Jason, there's another one on the end there. Just pull it up. You sure? Good morning.
Who's going to handle introductions? Brett?
I'll get started while we're keeping it moving, if that's all right. So my name's Brett Holland. I'm with Stifel Financial, Mike Battistelli, business partner with Stifel, Sonia Gross, also with Stifel, and we have Jason, who's here today with Jeff Davodak, representing CS&P, which obviously they represent, and a large portion of the assets for the county. So thank you for allowing us to come in, and just want to kind of go through a report, and then Jeff's going to make some comments on some insight and things that they're seeing looking forward. So if you turn to page 1, like we typically do, and the page is again kind of split up in 4 sections. The top left section there, underneath those bar charts, is combined portfolio, which just represents the pension. And shows the quarter, and this is ending the end of the year. Mike has up-to-date numbers, which I'll tell you right now look a lot better. So, but ending the quarter for last year, this is ending 12/31. Fourth quarter of 2018 was down 8.32%. A year-to-date number was down 4.01%, which obviously that's for the full 12 months. So the one-year number says the same thing, January 1st through December 31st, of the 4.01 negative. 3-year number is positive 4.99, and then just the inception number is the 5.27. I want to take just a moment, I don't want to take a lot of time away from Jeff, but I want to make a comment about, if you see the benchmarks listed underneath there, if you turn to page 11, this is kind of where some of the benchmarks are listed back here. We don't talk a lot about benchmarks. I don't want to say they're irrelevant, because they certainly have an element of relevance, but benchmarks are kind of fixed. And in the back, page 11, on the right side, if you see there, it says benchmark description, and underneath there kind of represents the pension. And this is really quite different than what your managers, where the managers are invested right now. It shows the S&P 500 at 50%, which is the S&P 500 is the largest 500 companies in America. Barclays Ag, which are aggregate bond, which is your fixed income of 35%. The REIT portion of 5%. Citigroup 1-month T-bill, which would be kind of like cash of 5%. And then mid-cap growth or medium-sized companies of 5%. And part of the reason why I point this out, just because on that page 1, we're not comparing apples to apples. I would say it's barely apples to oranges, quite frankly. Because in the back, on this page 11 here, in large company stocks, it's more like 35 to 40% that the county has invested in large company stocks now. Medium-sized company stocks are 8%. And in here, the benchmark is at 5%. Small company stocks, the pension is at 6%, and there's none of that represented in the benchmark at all. So we're not, again, comparing apples to apples, so I just want to just caution you as you look through that. Underneath that combined portfolio benchmark, you see the 4X's and then 7132 benchmark. And that's actually where the ARC payment goes into. So I think the ARC payment this past year was just a little bit less than $3 million, which is just cash. We hold that in a money market, an FDIC-insured money market. And that's being compared to 60% in stocks and 40% in bonds. So obviously a money market's not going to keep up with a portfolio that has 60% in stocks and 40% in bonds. So I just wanted to mention that as you see that on the first page there with the benchmark listed underneath it. Any questions on that at all? I kind of went through that rather quickly, but any questions on that?
I have one. Mine's, the REIT is an alternative.
Yeah.
Do you see in your world that expanding 5% more alternative investments as a way of balancing the portfolio, or are we too conservative in what we do here for that?
Well, we've taken it up to as high as about 9, I think.
Or 9%.
Yeah, we've taken it up to that point. And actually, even from an alternative standpoint, the S&P 500 about 2 or 3 years ago started including REITs in it. So it is different than a traditional stock or bond, but it's probably not as alternative as maybe it was at one time. So
Maybe to further that, there are some other alternative strategies out there, and we hear a lot of other pension plans are utilizing that, but we haven't seen that there's been enough value added. That's kind of like the focus word, alternatives. You want to have alternatives in your pension, but we just haven't seen enough evidence that it's really added value.
Well, we see like Yale and Harvard at 90%, probably alternatives, and other private. I just didn't know if that was a trend that would be, used by governmental pensions. It's a little riskier, so you wouldn't want to go there.
We think there could be more volatility in that type of strategy. Potentially, there are some alternatives, and not so much, but
Or volatility
we've always
equities.
tried to manage the risk and mitigate risk in this portfolio.
All right. Jane.
I guess I think I know what you mean by when you stated that the benchmark is fixed. I think what you mean is that the makeup or the menu of benchmarks that make up Stifel's benchmark isn't exactly reflective of what our mix is. So do you have the ability to customize that benchmark at all so that it is closer to what the investment policy of the board is?
we can. That changes from quarter to quarter, actually almost month to month, but we could get it closer, so that it'd be a little bit more accurate than what it is right now.
So if that was something that Stifel just provides without your input, or if it's something where you can say, hey, can we tweak this to 45% instead of 50 or 35,
I think we could. The hard part is the overall allocation of the pension itself. Feel free to jump in, Mike, too, if you have something to share with us too. But the overall allocation, over the years, if we go back 10 years ago, during 2008, we had around 50, might have been a hair less than 50% actually in equities. So it's almost like the benchmark is fixed, and the pension itself is moving at different times. But we could obviously adjust it and try to.
if you have the ability, before this is generated, to move any of those, or if that's something that Stifel just says, these are the benchmarks we're going to use.
Yeah, we can make that change, but again, I think what point Brad was trying to point out is that, 3 years ago, if we did that, if we updated it for this past quarter, where we were invested 3 years ago, and you look at a 3-year annualized number,
Yeah.
it may not be a great.
Yeah, it would only be helpful for the quarter, really.
Exactly.
Okay.
One thing. Just one comment at this point, with that 4.01 currently going around the Controllers Association is the annual returns from other counties. 4.01 of the 12 that have responded is the second lowest as far as, at least, everybody's in 5s and 6s, negative. So everybody's, we're much more conservative than most.
Any other questions on that? Okay. Then move over to the right side there, where the line chart is there, just showing under the quarter, the beginning balance of $126,955,002 was the beginning. Again, that would be starting in October 1st, and then with withdrawals of 2.1 million, and then depreciation during that quarter of 10.5 million. Had an ending value at the end of December of $114,319,485. To the right of that just shows the year numbers. Again, starting at 125 million, and then having withdrawals of 5.9 million, and then depreciation of 4.7 million. Again, ending the year at 114 million net of those. And then the bottom left side just kind of shows, again, our allocation. Equities are listed at 65.22. Again, we always just mention it reads to your point, Commissioner Phillips. Those are part of that, they're kind of mixed in there, and that REIT portion is 5.51%, where your equities are actually 59.71% is what they truly represent there. Fixed income of 31.39, and cash is at 3.39. And the last thing I'll just mention is, and without getting into it today, again, with having Jeff with us, the big thing that we talk about over and over and over and over is risk management. How much risk are we taking on to get the reward that we're getting? And those numbers, again, kind of ebb and flow. Those numbers have moved in a very positive direction this past year. Although we had a negative year, the amount of risk that we're getting for kind of the protection that the portfolio has had has been a positive thing. And I think that's probably the overriding, most important thing is you folks have had this fiduciary with the plan. So any other questions with any of that? You might need to give a more up-to-date number.
These numbers will look a little bit better, so that gave me an easy job today. So year-to-date, and this is through yesterday, the portfolio for the year is up 8.74%. with a balance of $123,206,759. So we've gotten a good bit of back what we had lost in the fourth quarter. A couple of things to point out. Last time we were in, we brought in a new manager, replaced a manager. So Dearborn Partners was that new manager that came in. They are actually up 10.8%, so it's been a positive change. The other manager that we had replaced in the fall, Capital Group, they're up 10.5% as well. So just a little feedback on the most recent changes that were made. Allocation-wise, pretty much the same as the year end, so we won't go into those. And I think that's pretty much it, unless there's anything else specifically, more up-to-date numbers you need.
So beautiful, they're off to a good start.
They're off to a good start.
I'm very thankful that the numbers are creeping back up.
Right. Yeah.
It's a little scary.
Fourth quarter was very challenging, especially December. I'm sure Jeff's going to mention that. There's a number of reasons why, so.
I'm glad we didn't borrow money to put in there then.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So at this time, we'll turn it over to Jeff and CS McKee to give you an update on their portfolios and markets.
Thank you very much, and appreciate very much on behalf of everyone at CS McKee the opportunity to meet with you to work with the county. As Mike had mentioned, and as you're all undoubtedly aware, there was a huge spike up in volatility in the markets in the fourth quarter, particularly in December. December of 2018 was the worst December for U.S. equities since 1931. And for anybody that's big into statistics, it's close to what we would call a third standard deviation event. It's just very uncommon to have that much of a move. And the key theme that has really been weighing on the equity markets in our view is this ongoing negotiation between the United States and China with respect to trade. It's intuitive if you think about all of the billions of dollars that both countries have invested on each side of the Pacific. Many of them have borrowed money to make long-term commitments to factories and production trade relationships. And so anything that would upset the framework in which those investment decisions were made has the potential to impact analyst forecasts for what these companies will earn in 2019, 20, and beyond. There are two main schools of thought about China trade in the market today. One is that this is a temporary phenomenon that will lead to a negotiation of some improved trading relationship, preferably in favor of the United States. And then the second is that this is going to escalate and it's going to become a prolonged, maybe even perpetual trade conflict between these two important global economies. How you structure your portfolio depends on which school of thought you adhere to. At CS McKee, we're of the belief in how we manage equities for the county that this is not going to be a permanent state of affairs. We are cautiously optimistic. Yes, tariffs have been imposed, but there's also been a sort of détente where we've had this 90-day window, and then Trump and Xi are going to revisit trade talks again in the very near future. We believe that there's too much common ground for this to really escalate to the point where the U.S. stops doing business with China, and China stops doing business with the U.S. It still has the power to impact through headline risk what the markets do in the short term. But over the long run, we can see the benefit that's happened with that détente even over the last 2 months. It's been a very strong start to the year, and I'll give you an update on the CS McKee portion of the county fund. If you take a look at the first tab of the CS McKee report, you can see that it was a very difficult fourth quarter indeed. The large cap value portfolio that we managed for the county was down 14.34% versus a Russell 1000 value benchmark of 11.72. The account in large value had been well ahead of the benchmark through the first 3 quarters of the year and gave it back in the fourth quarter. Year to date, 2018, the 12-month period, large cap value was down 9.2% versus negative 8.27 for the Russell 1000 value, and is ahead on the 2-year period. What we've built is essentially a pro-cyclical portfolio as interest rates rise, as the economy strengthens, as we move into more traditional financial conditions. The overweight in the portfolio sectors like technology and industrial should outperform. In the fourth quarter, it was the most defensive sectors of the market, the utility companies, with the exception of the Pacific Gas and Electric that was impacted by the wildfires in California. But those utility companies that pay high dividends, your big pharmas that pay high dividends, your bond substitute type stocks did very well in the fourth quarter. And we were underweight those companies mainly because in a world where we're trying to find ways to meet actuarial targets for funds, we feel compelled to invest in companies that have earnings growth rates above those actuarial targets. We wouldn't invest in a company like Merck if Merck's 5-year growth forecast for earnings is 5% and the county expects to earn 7% on its plan. To us, that doesn't seem like as appropriate of a fit in the context of the fund. That being said, with the improvement in market sentiment so far in the year, the value of the plan has increased. The assets with McKee have increased from $47,731,896 at the end of 2018 to $48,788,090 as of yesterday's close. Year to date, large cap value portfolio that had a rough fourth quarter is well ahead of the Russell 1000 benchmark. The Russell 1000 year to date through February 20th is up 11.46%. The county's large cap value portfolio is up 12.82%, so 136 basis points ahead. And over the 3-year period and the 5-year period, the county's large cap portfolio is ahead of those benchmarks, as well, because we have moved with improving unemployment, strong GDP, into a growthier kind of environment that has benefited these pro-cyclical types of stocks. Real GDP year over year is plus 3%. Nominal is 5.5%. Unemployment is at 3.9%. So these are all the ingredients that you would want to benefit growth types of stocks. The bond portfolio continues to face the challenge of very low rates, but there are positive returns. And over the last year, the county's bond portfolio with CS McKee was up 91 basis points versus a benchmark of 92 basis points. Again, we are of the opinion that interest rates should normalize. And the expectation that we have is that the Fed is going to pause in caution about what will ultimately transpire with the China negotiations. The Fed funds range is currently 2.25% to 2.5%. The Fed Chairman Powell made a statement in December. He was pressured by the administration not to raise rates. The Fed has famously, throughout its history, voiced its independence from the rest of Washington. So even though Powell privately may have wished to keep rates in neutral, he felt compelled to defend the Fed's independence and honor, if you will, and they raised rates at the December meeting. Now in 2019, the language has changed to one of more caution, and I think our sentiment, the key is that's to build a buffer around these China negotiations in the event the market should be a stumbling block. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have about the key portfolio. One of the things that my colleague Jason Petner has brought with us today is a chart of the quarter. This is from C.S. McKey's Education and Information Portal. And what this is showing you, there are 3 data sets that we've looked at. The data has come from the Fed. And we define the 3 main sets of financial conditions as loosening, flat, and tightening. And the analogy that we use in this piece, it has to do with predicting tomorrow's weather with today's information. I feel for everybody that was affected by the horrific snow and mix that shut down much of this area yesterday. We might have used that as our analogy instead. But the way that I think about this portfolio, the way that we philosophically want to manage money for the county, it's like having snow tires or a 4x4. You're probably not going to get as great a fuel economy when conditions are sunny. But when conditions get bad, you're going to have more stability and security in those extremely volatile markets. What you can see is relevant to Commissioner Phillips' comment earlier about alternatives. We're showing the performance of most of the major asset classes that a pension fund could invest in across these different conditions. In the loosening financial conditions data set, the only negative performer is the VIX, the volatility index. If you bet on volatility in an extremely calm market with accommodative monetary policy, you'd be a disappointed investor because there's hardly any volatility when the Fed cuts rates to the floor and you're trying to stimulate the economy. And that's what we've seen in this bull market over the last decade. But as you move into flattening conditions, and think about rates starting to normalize, the Fed easing back, volatility starts to pick up in the market. And it becomes more of a challenge for funds to manage in their allocation mix. The asset classes that do best in loose conditions, areas like real estate, which averages a 17.25% return a year in loose conditions, start to become weaker performers, drop into 3% annualized when you have flat conditions and negative 25% when you have tightening conditions. And that makes sense if you think about all the mortgages that companies have to take out, whether it's on commercial property or apartment complexes, those sorts of things that would be in a REIT. If their borrowing costs go up, it puts pressure on their earnings. We're of the view that as we move from this extraordinary period of loose conditions with extremely low rates and quantitative easing into a more normalized kind of market, the county's overall approach to try to mitigate some of that volatility risk it should be of benefit in smoothing out some of the peaks and valleys of the market volatility that we've seen. But again, I'm happy to take any questions that you might have. But
you may have mentioned it in a way that I wasn't catching it. Inflation, what do you see?
For inflation, the 10-year break-even inflation is about 2.5%. We are, along with many of the folks in our industry, we're hoping for a healthy level of inflation. If you think back to deflation concerns when oil was in the 20s, $20 a barrel range, we don't want to see deflationary conditions. The Fed's challenge has always been trying to time their policy just right. You don't want the economy to hit too hot where you have hyperinflation. You don't want to put the brakes on a growing economy and cause a deflationary spiral either. We think that in its actions, the Fed has shown a preference to erring on the side of maybe a little bit more inflation than would be ideal, but they don't want to send economic growth back the other way. In the bond portfolio, we've tried to build in a little bit of inflation-protected securities as part of the position. The focus is still on shorter duration. As the Fed raises rates, shorter bond portfolios have been outperforming longer-term bond portfolios. And you may recall a couple years back, this board authorized our recommendation to shorten the bond portfolio for the county. That's been a good decision. That's paid off very well over the last 2 years as rates have increased. So we would expect to be a little bit shorter duration, maintain a bit of an inflation hedge, and then as we get to a more normalized level of rates, we can start looking at lengthening the county's bond portfolio again and locking in some of those higher yields.
Barring a crisis nationally or internationally, do you think we'll hit our benchmark this year?
We're off to a fantastic start. As Mike had stated, it sounds like you guys are already maybe above your target for the year. Those GDP growth numbers are significant. Traditionally, for every 1% GDP growth that the economy produces, you get about a 4% pickup in earnings growth for corporations. So if we end up with a 3% year for GDP, you're looking at 12% earnings growth. If multiples are reasonable for the market, which we think they are, the average price to earnings ratio for the county's large value portfolio with CS McKee for 2019 is 11.7 times earnings. That's not an overvalued market. If earnings come in at a pretty good clip, you should see some reasonable equity growth. Bonds we don't think are going to help a whole lot towards your target, but maturities, the yields to maturity are starting to creep up. The average yield for the county's bond portfolio with CS McKee has increased to 3.45%. With an effective duration of just over 4 years. So,
what would you, with only 60% in the equity side, what would you have to hit in order to get the 7.2 or whatever overall?
There's a great study that I know Brett and Mike have been looking at. There's an actuarial forecast that's done by an entity called Horizon, and they assign probabilities for pension funds to hit those actuarial targets based on forecasts for individual asset classes that might make up a portfolio. Working with funds all over the country and being on the board of papers and really kind of being knee deep in this pension stuff, 7% is a pretty realistic target. I worry for plans that have targets, some of them still at 8%, some of them at 7.5%. The challenge is that those models, those assumptions were built on bonds chugging along at 5-6% a year. Back in the 80s, you could have conceivably put your entire fund in bank CDs and exceeded your actuarial target. That's not available to you as trustees. You're playing with a different hand than your predecessors from the 80s or the 90s, even the early 2000s. And so it's become challenging for funds to have to accept more volatility to get to the same place. We're hoping that rates on bonds will come up before this equity market gets to the end of its cycle. That would be the Goldilocks scenario. Right now, bond returns are still not on that order of magnitude. So we feel that the heavy lifting in the fund really needs to be done by your risk assets. And we should try to maintain a high level of liquidity, downside protection in the bond fund. But to your point, 7 is a reasonable target. Most actuaries, I think, will tell you, to a man or a woman, if you have the ability to take your target down lower, they're all for it.
But then we couldn't afford the ARC. either.
Right, right. The 10-year forecasts are more pessimistic than the 20-year. Most of the models show interest rates rising, bond yields rising to a normalized level in the 20-year window, but the 10-year window is going to be really tough. And you know, to the point about the Harvard and Yale model, one of the things they've tried to do, they have the benefit of running less liquid portfolios. They don't have to make the level of disbursements that most public funds have to make. They can let that money be locked up for longer periods of time, and they can get that illiquidity premium. So that's how they're trying to respond to it. But for public funds, especially with mature demographics, if you have if you're at parity with your number of retirees drawing out versus actives putting in, if you're not in a growth area like Butler County where you have a lot of young public employees contributing to offset the outflows from the retirees, that need to maintain liquidity, you know, can be a big challenge too. And it's another reason to think about having your funds target lower. I give this board great credit for being at a 7% target well before many of your peers, because I think that you have built in a higher level of fiscal discipline to the county in doing that. You don't want to have unrealistic assumptions for your planning. That's how General Motors got into trouble. GM Corporate didn't want to pay the recommended contribution to the pension fund because it would have hurt the earnings that they would present to their shareholders. So they said, we'll assume the investments do better. We're going to use a 9% target. GE did the same thing. And in reality, they earned 6% or something lower, and they built an unfunded liability over time. And then their ARCs or their MMOs, the ADCs, they really went up a lot. So by getting your county to a place where you have a realistic target of 7%, you've at least given yourself a pretty good framework to keeping this plan sustainable without having to take excessive levels of risk. A lot of those plans that have kept the high targets, investment consultants and advisors can build any kind of portfolio that you as trustees want, but ultimately the philosophical choice is up to you. Do you want to accept more risk in your plan because it's just fiscally not possible to reduce those assumptions, or are you going to take the fiscal hit now to try to prevent that funding gap from happening later? And I think all of you at this county have set a framework that is wholly within reason and sustainable for the fund.
And I think the assumption that we will continue to fund the ARC, I don't think it's a question of can we afford it or not. We're committed to doing that. So that's another piece of the equation that isn't always, adhered to. Okay. Well, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for putting it into terms that people can understand between the bond CDs at the local bank. People can remember those days, and it makes it easier to understand somebody just listening in.
I appreciate it very much. And just as a final note, if you indulge me, I wanted to let you know that my colleague Jason has been working on a project with Penn State, our state treasurer, AIU. And if you haven't received notification about this already, this has nothing to do with us at McKee. The state is offering free financial literacy programming to all school districts in the Commonwealth through the AIU. So if you have any school districts here in the county that would be interested in having access to online lesson plans or course materials for promoting financial literacy education, that's something that we encourage you to check out just as a new resource that's available.
And this is for students?
It's for students. There are 130 school districts approximately that have enrolled in this program over the last year or two. And we're excited about anything that encourages a culture of saving and fiscal discipline.
How long is the course? Is it a one semester or is it a year long?
teachers can customize how they structure the program, which is one of the nice things about it. It's not intended as a replacement for any existing seminars or programming they do on financial literacy. The state's very passionate about addressing proactively the challenges of student loans and credit card debt and some of the obstacles to saving that young people encounter. But we anticipate all of you hearing more about this through CCAP and the Controllers Association and the like. And I just wanted to make sure that you're aware it's available to the schools in Lebanon County.
Thank you.
Before you leave, Bud, did you have anything?
No.
You good? Okay, thank you. Thank you. Send it, Jane?
Yes, then on to regional election board. The election board session.
Suspend the, regular meeting. Suspend the regular meeting.
Thank you.
Call the election board to order.
Michael Anderson,
Michael.
Chief Clerk, Voter Registration. Sorry, a couple handouts today. Okay, so, good morning. The reason why I'm here today is to request permission to publish in 2 newspapers the primary notice, the notice of the municipal election for May 21st, which is required in the election code, which states all of the offices that nominations can be made by each major political party. And then I have that information there with the memo that I had sent you earlier. I have a copy if you need it.
And the 2 papers?
I'm sorry, yes, the 2 newspapers would be the Lebanon Daily News, which covers all of Lebanon County, and then we have been using the Sun out of Hummelstown, which covers the Palmyra area and north and south Lebanon Township.
I'll make a motion to approve the election notice publications in the Lebanon Daily News and Hummelstown Sun.
Second?
I have a motion and a second to publish the election notices in the Lebanon Daily News and Hummelstown Sun. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So ordered. Michael?
Okay, I did have something come up after I had given the information for the agenda today that I did want to talk about, which is I passed out the list of the proposed polling locations. This has the 60, depending obviously on the court date that we have Tuesday, February 26th at 3 p.m. In courtroom number 1 with President Judge Tilwalk for the redistricting plan. But one of the changes that did occur is that Tabor Church was sold last year, and they are officially going through renovations now and will be doing a grand reopening on April 7th, and they will be called LCBC Church. So the polling location does not change. I just wanted to make the board aware of the fact that that name change will occur. Tabor will be changed to have LCBC. And so when we do publish the list of polling locations before the primary, that will be on there. People will go to the same location, but just wanted to make everybody aware that that name is changing with the ownership. And they have graciously agreed to continue to be a polling location and have actually asked not to be paid to be a polling location. So that was actually very nice of them as well.
We can accommodate that.
Yeah, absolutely. That is the only official information I have, unless there's any questions on anything else that I had given you this week, voting system.
And again, the hearing for the redistricting is Tuesday the 26th.
26 at 3 p.m., courtroom number 1. We did list all the notices at the current polling locations, all the municipal/borough buildings, all of the proposed new polling locations, and all the local post offices for that notice. To get the word out about that public hearing. And so far, everything we have heard has been positive. Haven't heard anything negative on that.
And while certainly the board is anyone's welcome to attend. I believe the solicitor has filed the petition.
Yes.
They've set a date, and if there's anything to be, I guess, answered, and then that'll be up to the solicitor to handle. But primarily, this is a hearing for the court to hear any objections or support.
Correct.
And make a decision.
Anything else, Michael?
And it will be before President Judge Chilwalk, is that correct?
That is correct, yes. And then just, I did give you earlier this week just some updated numbers on the voting system that you had passed on the 7th, so you have that if you need that.
Very good. Motion to adjourn, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
Adjourned.
And second.
All right, we're adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I have a number of items here before you adjourn, and then you have 11:30 MPO policy board meeting. So, first, related to some grants, I have a letter of support for your consideration in support of Historic Schaefferstown Incorporated to obtain grant funding through the Pennsylvania Historical Museum Commission to do some restoration work at the Alexander Schaefer House. They intend to stabilize and restore the large chimney, cellar fireplace, 2 smaller fireplaces on the main floor, etc. And have requested a letter of support from you, so we have that.
I'll make a motion that we do the letter of support for Historic Schaefferstown.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. We provide a letter. Any questions? Hearing none, all in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, so moved.
Secondly, we also have a request for a letter of support for the City of Lebanon for a redevelopment assistance capital program grant submission that they intend to, or they have submitted. They're now actually gathering letters of support. Excuse me. This is for an urban corridor revitalization project. You'll recall that they did submit for this RACP, or Redevelopment Assistance Capital Program, from the Commonwealth back in the spring of 2018, but were not selected, so they're going to make another run at it. This time, there's a bit of a different twist to it, and that being that that Lebanon Transit has expressed interest in participating in this project by installing a intermodal transportation center as part of the project. So it would be a multi-tier public parking garage, space for city offices, including the police department, and an intermodal transportation center run by Lebanon Transit. So this would be a letter of support, essentially the same letter that you said before, but with that added.
Do you know, it just occurred to ask, do you know if, I guess it's, let's see, 7th Street, and that would be 9th Street? So it's 2 blocks apart. Would they abandon their other
I don't know.
location?
I don't know. That's,
Probably not, because they're actually, right now, talking about expanding the present location.
Okay, because it's just so close, that's why I wondered.
yeah, but I think intermodal, they want to connect with other ways of, for other providers and so on. Yeah, what you're referring to it at Willow, 7th and Willow,
Yeah.
is a transfer station, I think, from bus to bus within their own. So this would be something where somebody could presumably go from a Lebanon Transit bus to another provider that would then take them elsewhere, sort of like there's a connection, I think, with Dauphin that's up in Hershey.
So you're not, I was thinking more trains and that sort of thing, but
Well, we don't have passenger
No,
train service
but-
there.
I just was curious about.
I don't have all the details on that.
Okay.
I've just been made aware that that's now part of this project, and Lebanon Transit is joining.
Okay. So this is the same thing they submitted before, except that's the only addition?
Correct, that's my understanding, yep.
Right, well, so moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we provide a letter of support. The city RCAP request. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same sign, so moved.
I have a grant acceptance for you, for your approval. This is for the RAZA and VOJO, or the Rights and Services Act grant, and a Victims of Juvenile Offenders grant. I believe the district attorney's office was in earlier this year or earlier, late in this year, end of last year, to submit an application for this funding, and they've been notified, or you're being notified that it's been awarded. The total award amount is $235,644 for January 1st of 19 through December 31st of 20, so it's a 2-year commitment. These funds are included in the county budget to reimburse for salaries and benefits of the staff for victim services.
I'll make a motion that we accept the Raja grant as presented.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Jamie, do you know if that was the full?
I believe so, yeah. They always expect to get the approval, yeah.
Any comment or question? If not, all in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, so moved.
Okay, I have quite a number of liquid fuel project grant applications here from various municipalities. First being for Bethel Township, who intends to use their grant for general maintenance on township roads in the amount of $5,007. That's their project, as well as would be their allocation. In Cornwall Borough, they intend to use their grant for general maintenance of $5,000. Their grant of that would be $4,112. Jonestown Borough, also for general road maintenance of $5,000. Their grant would be $1,905 from the county. Mount Gretna Borough for general maintenance, project of $1,000. Their allocation $196. Myerstown Borough general maintenance seems to be the popular way to go, is to not specify something specific, but add it to their general maintenance budget. So Myerstown Borough would be $3,062. North Lebanon Township intends to use theirs toward the purchase of road salt at $25,200 in road salt. Their allocation toward that would be $11,429. West Cornwall Township would be used for general maintenance, $1,976, which is the same as the project amount. And Union Township also for general road maintenance of $3,099, which matches their allocation. Motion.
I'll move to approve the allocations for liquid fuels to the municipalities as presented.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded that we approve those allocations. Any questions or comment? If not, all in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign, so ordered.
Have appointments of board members to the Community Action Partnership Board. The following individuals have agreed to renew their appointments for a 3-year term, which would expire in December of 2021. They are Melissa Cruz, Evelyn Lane, Pastor Crystal Smith, Jonathan Fitzke, and Claire Weaver.
Make a motion that we appoint the CAP board members.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any questions? If not, all in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, so moved.
I circulated with you a request from Kevin Schrum to add a new provider to their list of agency providers. This would be for Keystone Service Systems, Inc. Originally, they were going to contract with Heart to Heart Ministries. However, that has changed. They found a more suitable provider. This particular provider would be providing services to a consumer who has been in an acute care psychiatric hospital bed and is going to be able to go to a group home, however, needs respite care along with that. And this is a unique provider that can provide that. The change to the 2018-19 contracts would be $22,057 for this additional provider.
Also move to adopt the Keystone Service Systems agreement.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded. We approve Mr. Schrum's request. Any questions? If not, all in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign, so moved.
And lastly, I have a contract for an additional driver for the Medical Assistance Transportation Program. It would be Carol Setcabbage, the established rates, pre-established rates.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve that driver. Any questions? If not, all in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, so moved.
So FPO at 11:30, and even though it's potentially a scheduled day for assessment appeals, you have not scheduled for the second.
May we adjourn?
Second.
We stand adjourned. Thank you.